可惜，这颗星球的真相才刚刚揭开冰山一角。
僕はビタ。歯が唇を優しく噛むビニ。舌が優しく歯に当たる。ただよ。
Who is Vita? Iconic and mischievous, Vita imposed herself as a fan favorite over the course of Part 1.5 and Part 2 of Honkai Impact third story. To old players, she is familiar. To new players, she's unknown. Where did she come from? What happened? What are her goals and ties with the Earth caste? In this video we will summarize everything we know about Vita. Vita's origins. During Part 1.5, Seal and Susanna were thrown into the Sea of Quanta by Misln Shariak while chasing after one of the Grey Serpent remnants. This spatial rift separated both Seal into the Salt Snow Holy City and the country of Iron Sand. A bubble universe in the sea. In there they met Shigur Kira, an ex-Valkyrie of the Snow Wolf Squad and now a soldier and ally of the Sugar's aliens. Vita was met here, a simple, friendly and enthusiastic citizen of the Holy City. In this arc of the story, the Earthians learned that this bubble universe was stabilized by a sage which turned out to be a stigmata. An idea being like Misln Shariak. After a fierce fight between the sage and Seal, the latter inherited the full authority of the Salt Snow Tower as a sage, which was the previous one's plan all along. It all turned out to be pointless as they learned that this universe was bound to destruction by the rules of the abyss of the sea. Saw. The being that Shigur Kira was hunting. Kira then told all of them about the fallen star. A desolate planet that died from a chain explosion under mysterious consequences. And after discussing the situation, suspicion toward the kind Vita appeared and she blew her own cover by knowing how AI work despite being from a universe that don't use modern technology. Vita admitted that she was a rescapee from the fallen star but that it was not her planet either. She was a Venusian. She is very old and is a victim of the Honkai disaster. Of the Cocoon of Finality. In the second part of the Salt Snow story, we learn that Saz works in a similar way as the Cocoon of Finality. She uses a system based on rules. To save this world, they have to find a way home and get help from Kiana, who's the Hersher of Finality, to be able to anchor the universe and save it from Saz's grasp. They decided to devise a plan and separated the group for multiple tasks. Vita being their guide with her Venusian technology permitting her to predict the possible's futures. During the operation, Misln used her own idea body property to construct a path for Susanna to get back to Earth. Susanna managed to reach the other side where Branya, Einstein and Tesla waited for them. The team's hopes were short-lived as the bridge constructed by the now exhausted Misln shattered in an instant and the communication got jammed. The idea and Kira could only watch the poor Vita get erased in front of them. After the tragic death of their Venusian friend at the ends of the omniscient and invisible Saw, the plan to anchor the bubble universe and fight Saw was in shambles. Their only other option was to fight the abyss itself by themselves. Dr. Schrödinger came with an idea on how to be able to fight this cocoon-like entity and save the world. Create a new Hersher with the Saw system by overloading Honkai energy and creating an imaginary singularity. A Hersher core. Shigur Kira would become the vessel and the Hersher of sentience had disappeared too under Saw. Misln Shariak tried to locate and fight the abyss by throwing herself into the leaking energy of the bubble universe. But she met her end at the end of the enemy. Prometheus kept information to herself. While the others were fighting Saw, she entered, like the proper world dead Prometheus, world origin, a special space that only her could reach to hack into the cocoon system. It was known as the will of Honkai on Earth. Saw, being only 10% of the finality power, would permit Prometheus to be able to choose who becomes a Hersher and give them selected authority, although she would lose herself in this process. Just before she could enter the system, she got stabbed in the back and left to die by Vita, who revealed herself to be Saw, the abyss of the sea. It was revealed by Vita that she indeed was omniscient and all-knowing. She could even read the thoughts of a machine. She knew everything about their plan and started taking them down one by one while isolated. Nevertheless, even an omniscient god has a hard time multitasking and got tricked and led astray for too long by an overload of information from Schrödinger. Kira managed to trick Vita by creating a lie that she herself believed to the very end. Deceiving even herself as a perfect idol, permitting the Hersher of sentience to trap Vita in her mindscape. Meanwhile, the red seal snatched the blue seal's body and hid her away to become a Hersher herself. They thought Faye had won over the abyss, but Vita was far too powerful for them to handle. She dismissed the Hersher of sentience, Kira, and deleted all of the Honkai energy in salt snow and iron sand. She was disappointed by the result of her gamble and decided to apply the rules and use the universe's energy to annihilate every living thing aside the red seal.
可惜，在这场豪赌中，我没能看到自己想要的结果。我们彼此都不够走运啊！倘若未能金缩之手，没人能够求得新生。升起吧，世界的第一次日出！
All hope was lost, everyone was dead. Vita even took the red seal's memories from her. It was the end. However, even with her memory manipulation, Vita couldn't stop Delete Seal's memories, and the latter finally remembered her other half, who came back to life through a miraculous imaginary singularity with a new body, the strongest vessel, a Hersher core bearing the contradiction of the authority of this universe, life and death. The Hersher of death born from Saw's system. A Hersher that isn't the shadow of finality.
"竟然还拥有创生的全能，这还真是足够令人惊喜呢。不过，诸位少女啊，倘若未能经我之手，没人能够求得新生。"
Both Seal then decided to face head-on Vita, but they had a plan in mind. With her newfound power, Seal could bring back to life this world. Red Seal went on her own to make preparation while the Hersher and the God settled things on their side. Kind as always, Seal tried to make Vita stop on her own, but she wouldn't. Saw's rules were absolute. She then trapped Seal in her domain, but the Hersher proved to be stronger than even the rules of Salt Snow, and Seal managed to break apart Vita with her wither authority before seemingly taking down the goddess. After the fight, it was revealed that a voice was actually speaking to Vita. It was the true Saw. All along, Vita was only a proxy, a clone of Saw. What Seal fought wasn't the god at her weakest after destroying the bubble universe, but the strongest version of Vita after she gained enough authority from Saw to kill the Hersher. That was Vita's plan all along with the variables that were the Earthians. She managed to trick her creator to give her enough power for her job to be able to free herself from the god's control over her. She was finally free. After being confused by the unreadable Vita, Seal thanked Vita for the pity she had on them because she hadn't eradicated from existence the souls of the world but stored them away so that Seal could actually revive them. After that, Vita revealed that Seal managed to cut the roots of the rules during the fight and explained how and why Saw does what she does. The rules were in fact wishes. Every living thing wishes things. Wishing things will make the bubble universe expand until its destruction. It will always work because Saw understands human nature perfectly. This explosion energy will then gather to Saw to help her expand in the sea like a parasitic plant.
だから砂鉄の国の世界が誕生したんだ。そして砂鉄の国の魂たちは 賢者が彼らを蘇生させてくれるから、セントソルトスノーの聖者と再会できると信じていました。
だから二つの世界が交わって徐々に一つへと融合したんだ。でもその融合こそが世界が滅亡する始まりでもあったのさ。
そして
ゼーレ、僕は自由だよ。ひな鳥が初めて朝日を目にしたように、稚魚が初めて卵から出たようにね。そして僕が最初にやりたかったことは、この顛末を僕に新生を与えてくれた人に打ち明けることだ。その人は君だよ、ゼーレ。
わかりました。今のビタさんは確かに私たちに悪意を持ってません。でもこれからどうするんですか？私はこれから仲間たちを、この世界のみんなを連れ戻さないといけません。そして全てが元通りに戻ったら自分の家に帰ります。そのために行動するとき、ビタさん、あなたは私の前に立ちはだかるんですか？
僕の友人ゼーレ、こう呼ぶことを許してほしい。君がどこに行こうと何をしようと、僕はただ君に感謝して祝福を送ることしかないよ。自分のことは悪人だと自覚しているし、罪滅ぼしなんてしたことがない。社の代理として多くの文明を滅ぼしてきた。
Now that the Salt Snow resume is done, we can dive deeper into Vita's origin and meaning. It was revealed in the last segment of Salt Snow about what happened to Venus and SA, the original Vita. She was a leader, the director of the top scientist of Venus, who was called Purusha by them. The end of Purusha and the aftermath were revealed to us, leading to Vita's creation and awakening as her own self.
即将关闭重力模拟装置。
哦，稍等一下，我这就把衣服全脱光。
所长，请规范您的言行。
啊，我可是在认真配合你的检查。
みんな見て、これが26から来た最新映像よ。
これはまさか合成型新円柱です。いや、もっと上位種かもしれません。私たちが未だかつて対峙したことのない。そう、私たちにはもう半永久的なエネルギーがあるというのに、どうして深淵の蹂躙を防げないんですか？
私たちの技術に進展があると同時に、深淵もより強大な使徒を送り込んでくる。ずっとその繰り返しね。
所長、このまま座して死を待つわけにはいきません。
その通り、深淵が続く限り僕たちも立ち止まってはいられない。ノートン博士、君の霊式システムが必要だ。今すぐ実用化の準備をして。
それは一体。
研究所が今使ってる海からエネルギーを誘導する方法では、もう深淵の膨張速度に追いつかなくなってる。だからみんなのこの星にいる全ての生命の意識と接続して、人類の未来を演算し干渉する必要があるんだ。まさに以前僕たちが議論した話の通り、全ての生命の祈りで僕たちの故郷を救うとしよう。ごめんなさい、マーラ。ノートンたちが。
もう言わなくていいわ。
マーラ、
あなたはもう所長じゃない。私がここを接収して、今すぐ霊式システムの動作を中止するわ。
それはもうできないよ。あれが、深淵がすでに霊式のメイン制御システムの権限を奪ったんだ。僕たちが甘かった。まさか深淵がこのデータ空間を見つけて侵入してくるなんて思わなかったから。もし事前に対策を立てていたら。いや、もういい。もしもの話に意味なんてない。結局のところ 僕たちは深淵に投稿する資格すらなかったんだ。ノートもきっとびっくりするよ。自分たちが生きているうちに目にする初めてのデータ生命体が、まさか僕らの敵だなんてね。おかしい話だよ。
あなた、こんな状況でもまだ笑えるの？
じゃあどうしろって言うんだ？何ができるって言うんだ？できることはもう全部やった。全資源をつぎ込んだ。全ての心血を、全ての知恵をつぎ込んだんだ。でも僕らの全て、文明丸ごとの勇気と知恵は深淵の前では全く歯が立たなかった。教えてよマーラ。どうすれば深淵から生き延びることができるんだ？そんな方法があるのなら、どんな対価でも惜しくない。
なら教えるわ、プルシャを。放棄して宇宙に行って新しい星を探せばいいの。
ダメだ。僕たちが逃げたら、これまでの努力も犠牲も、惑星でまだ生き残ってるわずかな人たちと共に灰になって消えてしまう。
でもそれで生き残れる人がいるわ。あなたが欲しかった答えはそれよね。
いや違う。僕らはまだ深淵に負けてない。霊式システムの稼働率のロックを完全解除すれば、深淵から生まれたデータ生命体だとしても逃げられやしない。
でもそんなレベルの誘導を受けてしまうと、一体海からどれほどの力が湧き出てくると思ってるの？私たちではそれを制御できないのよ。
そうだからこそだよ。海は深淵が唯一制御できないものだ。
狂ってるわ。星の運命で博打をするつもり？
ああ、最高じゃないか。人類はもう引き返せないほどの賭けをしてしまったと、そう思わないかい？
As you could see in this short extract of Saw's past as Dr. Vita from Venus, she was a trusted leader but lost it all after the Abyss. Also known as the Honkai took over the Sol system and countered every solutions they could come up with. She decided to gamble the planet itself and saved everyone as data life in the system after unleashing the sea on the Honkai. She defeated and escaped her enemy at the cost of the world. Saw then toyed with her colleagues while traveling in the solar system in search of a new world to recreate Purusha with the help of the Star Traveler, a gigantic space mecha. She uploaded Mara's consciousness inside a cleaner and created the proxy to manage her work while she was away meditating. Absorbing the sea's energy with her mortal body cost her her humanity little by little. She chose to become a machine like God to avoid the mistakes and futilities of the past. Dr. Mara learned from SA in the shadow and how to absorb a world's energy and decided to use her knowledge to awaken the proxy as her own person, giving birth to the clone that would take the name Vita, which was abandoned by Saw. Why did she do that? Maybe out of nostalgia and in the hope of finding an old lost friend from before the apocalypse, although she still hated her and Proxy from being her split image. Mara would later free herself and the cleaners from Saw and become a space pirate, most likely the chief of the Sky People, but this is another subject for another time. Vita knew that Saw didn't like her nor treated her as human. She was only a tool because in Saw's eyes, Vita was everything she loathed. She hated herself, she hated the human she was. The proxy was too much like her in reminding her of all that she lost and sacrificed in pursuit of divinity to rebuild Purusha.
さまよった僕の姿、無数の歳月。一人で泣きわめいた僕の声、この道を歩み始めた僕が、決して触れられなかったかも。見ているだけで憎たらしく、聞いているだけで苦痛を感じる。だから僕は彼女が嫌いなんだ。
As time passes and she grew, she became more and more emotionless. There was only two things that Saw still felt in the world. She cherished her 7 Vita on Phosphorus, whose mission was to lead and cultivate the new Purusha, and she feared the cocoon of finality as well as being vigilant against the 3rd and 4th planet, Earth and Mars.
はるかはるか世界の果てで幸せを育む神が目を開けた。神が夢を紡ぐ。すると歴史という物語が生まれた。 神が地を開く。すると世界という箱庭が生まれた。林が茂り、水が音を奏でる。魚が光を誘い、スズメが安眠を与える。だが白昼は荒涼とし、黒夜は静寂に包まれた。幾千万、また幾千万の昼夜がやってくる。それは空が世界に大事な宝石を投げ放つ時まで続いた。流れ星が浄土に降臨し、大地に知恵の精霊をもたらす。こうして山に言葉が、川に韻律が生まれた。それが人類の始まりだった。
無垢の楽園に奇跡の星が落ちた。そこから人の歴史が始まった。人は神の従者と共に豊かな国を作った。彼らは暦を作り、空を観測した。彼らは農業を始め、大地を測量した。時は流れ、伝えられていく。この浄土の深くに植えられた人類の歴史は成長して、そして朝礼を迎える。あの日、災厄が空を埋め尽くし、影が大地を覆った。万物に命を与えた水は今回、世界に死を与える。洪水が文明の残光を洗い流し、世界は暗闇に沈み、果てしない静寂の中で神聖を待つ。
闇夜に濃霧が降り注ぎ、名も知れぬ歌をささやく。無名なる夢中を目の見えぬ旅人が歩む。終わりの種はすでに芽吹きを見せている。
This brings us to the second half of part 1.5. Phosphorus, where Fu Hua was sent by with the help of Su to rescue Grisio that crashed there with the Ark a long time ago. Sa was implicitly revealed to be the original blueprint, from which Su became a variant. Fu Hua arrived on Phosphorus as a projection and met the 7 representative in search of help to come back home, but there, she met a starting Honkai disaster. It was revealed that all of this was a plot of a saved, data life version of the deceased Moriarty, a Sulium clone of Otto who awakened a true persona and that Fu Hua dealt with in the past. He was collected by Vita in her museum. The criminal mastermind tricked and used the Vitas to gain authority and make them remember their forgotten wiped memories of the different samsaras of Sa. Fu Hu also managed to wake up Grisio from the sleeping pod and together went against Moriarty with the help of a projection of Vita that came back from Salt Snow but couldn't manifest fully because of Sa's blacklist. The cunning Vita still managed to give herself the Ark Administrator's permissions by taking advantage of her alliance with Fu Hua and Grisio. It was revealed by Moriarty when he got caught that his goal was to speed up the purge of Phosphorus and threw himself in an energy beam to reach Sa's to be able to watch an amazing twisted show as a VIP. Sa descended upon Phosphorus despite the artifact not being activated by the 7 Vita who knew about what it would do to their world and memories. The goddess ignored this fact and wanted to purge the world as it became rotten in her eyes and need a new beginning again. Yet another failure in her eyes. The only ones who would survive would be the whitelisted persons, her children, the Vitas. The 7 Vita decided to give their authority by giving up their life to create the rainbow brush to Grisio, much to the sadness of Vita, who lost her only true family in the process but made her even more ready to deal with Sa.
"空にかかった虹よ、私たちを導いて」
着地点グレッシュ。
任せて。この手で未来を描く。
やっと会えましたね、シャ。
この身を絵筆に星空を塗る。
After a fierce fight with the abyss of the sea, Fu Hua and Grisio were helpless against the rules of Phosphorus and Saw annihilated them in a similar explosion as Salt Snow, but this time, Vita, who took the Arc Administrator permission, managed to trick Saw's omniscient vision and rewinded time while helped Jin Fu Hua destroy the hourglass with the 7 Vitas. It was revealed that the Administrator permission made Vita a whitelisted individual.
これでおあいこだね。フカさん、私たちに任せて。
みんなの決意受け取りました。炎上の光。
Fu Hua then gave her all in a fiery punch in her active Honkai reaction form and made Saw flee for her life as the coward she has always been. However, Misiln Shariak, who we thought dead, appeared and blocked the escape path, while leading the finality bullet of Kiana straight to Saw, destroying the main body. It wasn't enough to kill Saw, as it was only a portion of her divine body but would render her useless for a very long time. She was at her weakest, and that is when Vita decided to strike again after her fake death to take all of Saw's authority and eyes of Bodhi for herself. I was created by God and God died because of me. Vita became a goddess surpassing Saw, her creator. Saw died and became an emotionless parasitic plant stuck at the bottom of the sea for all eternity. Vita gained absolute freedom. Only other gods could now stop her.
会話の邪魔をしてすまないね。久しぶり。我が偉大なる創造神？ああ、忘れていたよ。僕たちはさっき会ったばかりだ。ここをありがとう、シャ。でも僕が何者か、何を欲しいと思うかは、すべて僕自身で決めるよ。僕は君よりもずっと上手にできる。当たり前だけどね。残念ながら、自身を海に閉じ込めた君には、永遠に想像できないだろうけど、それは楽しみだ。ああ、楽しみだね。期待を胸に死ぬことは、僕たちの神様にとっても
ロマンティックなことじゃないかな。それは君の残りわずかな感情だし。さようなら虚無。その典型の目は僕がいただくよ。誰の墓を掘っているのか。ポロス人。ポロス人じゃないよマダム。じゃあプルシャ人？プルシャ人でもないよ。ポロス人でもプルシャ人でもない。では誰がここに埋葬されるのか。かつて最後のプルシャ人だったものマダム。しかし今は死んだものだ。神というのも実に面白いね。
Vita achieved all her goals and ascended to godhood through her own deceptions and schemes. Now she is back as an administrator of the Mars quantum computer and is guiding the Dreamseeker AI to return the favor to Kiana, who fell asleep mysteriously after meeting God Senna from Mars. What is she up to? What does she want? Can we trust her? We will see as part 2 unfolds.